Skinner on Absolute Radio. Absolute Radio.
It's the Frank Skinner podcast, Absolute Radio thing. And I'm here. I am Frank Skinner. And yes, and I am. And I'm with Emily and Gareth.
Hello.
Hello.
And what we do, we do the show, and then we go into another studio and do an intro to the show, which always seems a bit cart before the horse to me, but that's what we do.
Cart after the horse. Horse after the cart, which should have been before. Moving on.
Don't get bogged down in all that.
That was wrong. Cart before the horse.
Yeah.
It's the wrong way around, isn't it? I mean, deliberately the wrong way around. It's making a point that we do things the wrong way around. Look, I've been doing things the wrong way around for years. I know. What business is it of yours? Anyway, this is the podcast, and we had Ian Broudie on the show.
Ian Broudie.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
Yeah,
I'm
you
such a
were
big
you
fan.
were like a poppy gazing up at him in awe.
Gareth's really worried, though, because he wants to get his glasses, and he's worried that he'll see him again, and he'll know that he's copied him.
You want to get his glasses, not literally his glasses. You want to...
No, I need some new glasses, and I thought his were amazing, but then I thought, what if I bumped into him somewhere?
Yeah, that would worry me.
Oh,
yeah.
You've got the same glasses as me now.
Yeah, that would worry. If I met someone and they'd got the same teeth as me, I mean, I do meet people who have the same teeth as me, but you know, I don't always have spare change. But I would be worried if someone had copied my glasses like that after one chance meeting on a radio thing. Yeah, but you know what? You might never meet him again.
Yeah, it's quite possible that as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and if you do meet him, you can just take your glasses off, put them in your pocket, and address him as, you know, you like Blur. You're a Blur fan. The world would be a blur. Do you receive my meaning? Oh, let's do the podcast.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. I'm with Emily and Gareth. And,
Hello.
Good morning.
I can't think of any other information that I have to give by way of certainty. So, good morning to you all, dear listeners. And it's a bit of a sad week, obviously. Fern Britton's left this morning.
Oh, yeah, did you watch it?
I didn't go so far as to do that.
You weren't that sad, then?
No, did you watch it?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh, what a surprise! Were you
Sky
moved?
Plussed it. Do you know, I did cry. Only when I saw Philip Schofield cry, because he never shows any emotion.
No.
So it was quite... But it was a weird old thing.
You're suggesting that Philip Schofield is some sort of a goddamn droid? Phil Schofield's a goddamn droid! Yeah. Are you suggesting that?
No, I wouldn't possibly suggest
I've seen
that.
him working with animatronic things.
Really?
Yeah, I saw him in Dr. Dolittle at the Hammersmith Apollo.
Oh, I saw him in Joseph.
And Gordon the Gopher, who used to work with Gordon the Gopher.
Yes.
That wasn't animatronic, but...
No, that wasn't animatronic. That had a hand in
I think
it.
there was a man in there.
Yeah. No, I don't think there was a man in there.
Not a whole
It was
man?
a tiny... Oh, don't even bear thinking about.
Anyway, Fern left. So obviously the whole thing, I mean, there were lots of tears. Chris Biggins was there. Obviously Biggins was in the studio.
Well, of course, he's worked as a stunt double for many years.
Frank.
Yes.
She did look quite upset, though, because all the VT packages, the clips they showed, was from the days pre-weight loss.
Oh,
so
of course.
you saw her little face sort of curling up with horror every time they showed.
Oh, no.
I've seen her little face curl up with horror over quite a period of time.
Oh, that's a terrible poor Fur. So she kind of
Fern.
left in instalments, really.
You know, you were on it.
I was on it.
Yeah, because they showed touching messages from all sorts of people, like Lionel Richie saying, "Fern, you've been great."
I don't remember leaving a touching message.
You didn't leave a message, but they showed a clip of you and David Baddiel, and it was you, Philip Schofield, saying, "Let's go over to Michael Ball," and you saying, "Isn't Michael Ball on the show every day?" In quite a scathing way.
And that was my move in tribute to Fern Britton. Ah, well, I'm sorry, Fern, if you're listening. If they'd have asked me to make a nice message,
Oh, okay.
I would have made a nice message. Would I? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's sad to see Fern go.
Yes, and did they have some sort of celebratory? What they should have had, of course, is normally one would have a brass band. They should have had a gastric band, who actually people who play music with their behinds. I imagine is what a gastric band is.
Did they have a cake? Did they have a cake, or did that? I guess they avoided a
They
cake.
did. No, they had
No.
Michael Ball singing "Life Is a Cabaret."
A cake jumped into Fern. It's a sort of old
Stop it!
mix on the tradition.
Both of you, stop it.
Well, it's all right now to do those jokes because she isn't anymore. We're just talking
Oh,
about
okay.
her former self.
Okay.
She probably does jokes about. I bet she probably hates fat people now. I bet she really lays into fat people on the quiet. Yeah, that's what happens, isn't it? With the ex-fats.
Is it
I
like
find.
smokers?
She's an ex-fat. I don't mean that she lives in Singapore. I mean she used to be big and now anyway. We shouldn't feel. I think she seems a nice lady, and she's going on to lots of. I was once in Fern's dressing room. She wasn't in there.
Well, she
This is
couldn't
true.
be.
No, I turned up. There's a lot of people on, and so they'd run out of dressing rooms, and they put me in Fern's dressing rooms. I'm not kidding you. There was 100 pairs of shoes in there.
Really?
Absolutely. Some horseshoes. I didn't understand it.
Absolute.
Radio.
I'm Frank Skinner. Still. You have to say every link, apparently, if you're a proper radio person. I'm still Frank Skinner, and we're still on Absolute Radio with Emily and Gareth. And I'll tell you something. It's slightly off-putting today, because we have windows on the studio, and there's a man cleaning the windows. I didn't think they clean windows this early. And, he's going down his rope. Yeah, but it's kind of I thought it was somebody from Capital Radio coming to see what we was up to.
He's sort of abseiling, isn't he, down the
Yeah.
side of the
Yes.
building?
Abseiling radio. That's what he's
Abseiling.
doing. So, speaking of Absolute, I realised what a company man I've become the other night, because I've been at Absolute now 4 months.
Yeah.
I went to see Placebo at the Roundhouse in Camden Town, North London, which, as you may know, is a large conurbation in the southeast of England. And this guy, actually, I know his girlfriend, and
Right.
so she came up, and the boyfriend was there. And he said, someone mentioned the radio show. And he said, what's it on? And I said, it's on Absolute. And he said, that's like Smooth FM, isn't it? And I said, no. I said, it's just like a rock station. He said, it's got, slightly more edge than... And I thought, you... then someone else butted in and started talking, but I couldn't. I went away, but I could feel it rising up in
angry?
me. So I went back. He was talking to someone, and I said, "Don't get talking to him. We don't know what he's talking about." Some yobbo, and he was quite younger, but he had one of those. You know when people wear a bag? Young men now, they wear a bag, a shoulder bag. But the strap is on one shoulder, but the bag goes right across them.
Oh, yeah,
So,
like
you
a
know what
record bag.
Yeah, so they
Yeah.
wear it right across their chest kind of thing, which to me is the sign of the devil.
Yeah.
It's like people who are too cool for school. So I pointed that out. as
When
well.
you say you
Yeah.
pointed it out, Frank, I bet you didn't do it in a really reasonable, nice
No,
way.
it angered me. I won't have Absolute Radio spoken of it. I mean, if there's anyone from Smooth FM listening, I mean, I don't mean for 1 second. Actually, probably for one. Actually, I don't. I mean, he's rubbish. But Absolute Radio, I think he's great. They'll probably find
Yeah,
the same
don't
company
diss our
owns Smooth
station.
now, and I've
Yeah.
been a terrible. Anyway, I got genuinely angry.
So you
Gee.
picked on him for his bag.
I didn't pick on him. He picked on all of us. He
Right.
picked on everyone who's listening as well. Who sees themselves as absolute listeners. You were. If
So
I
if
can
you
get a
s-
number, I'll give it out later.
Do you see someone walking down the street with their bag over their shoulder like that?
Not
Just
over their
punch
shoulder,
them right
across
in the
their
face.
body.
Over their head.
They're
and out
saying,
on their...
"Oh, I'm so cool. Look at me, Mr. Cool, Mr. Cool." They're saying,
Although, Frank,
Right.
whilst we're on the subject of bags,
"Yes."
may I raise the subject of your bag? Would you like to tell the listeners what bag you're currently sporting?
Well, I just want to sport a bag. I'm carrying a small black bag. Is it
It's
canvas?
not a bag; it's a sack. It looks like the FA Cup draw you're carrying
It
around.
does look
with
like
you.
I'm constantly conducting the FA Cup draw wherever I go, leaving different numbered balls in locations, and then there'll be a big national hunt. Maybe at Easter. We'll see.
Why do you carry it?
Well, I'll tell you what, I need a bag, and I can't decide what a man of my age should carry. I'm not prepared to go to man bag territory. You know, you see
Right.
these guys with the little...
It's a bit Rio Ferdinand. I know what you mean.
Yeah, exactly. Well, footballers, if you talk to footballers after a match, they've always got their wash bag, like a leather wash bag with them, But so this bag is actually, I'll be straight with you, it's a Virgin Airlines first class bag.
But it doesn't say anything on it.
No, well, I've turned it inside out. It says...
Oh, right, because
I'll show you.
Because it's got the frayed edge. I've seen that and I've wondered, why has it got a frayed edge on the outside?
Inside out nowadays.
Oh,
It
right.
gives it a grungy feel. But if you look, inside it actually says upper class. I'm showing them now, obviously on radio. You'll have to take my word for this, dear listener. So, so not wishing to be the kind of bloke who walks around with upper class written on his bag.
Yeah.
You
don't want to show that on the outside, but if anyone ever questions you, you can show them the inside of your bag.
Yes, well, what I like about it, it's like something slightly sinister about the black sack. There's an element of Albert Pierpoint, the former hangman.
Or like a sort of medieval alchemist, it looks like.
Medieval alchemist, yeah. What a great name for a racehorse.
Absolute
Radio.
Oh, God, let's play the jingle.
Saturday morning!
There you go, let's got that out the way.
Is that still our only jingle?
Well, we have got... But, it's a bit Smooth FM. That's what I'm thinking. Actually, I discovered I made a slightly disparaging remark about Smooth FM, which is unnecessary, because it turns out that Emma, our producer, her husband works for Smooth FM, and now I feel I've caused a bit of a rift.
Oh, now you've done
Bit of a
it.
family rift. But obviously Smooth FM is for, for people who like that kind of music, and God bless them, Michael Bublé and Elton John and all that. That's all right, if you like that kind of thing. Some people like heroin. I'm not... Actually, I am condemning that. If anyone's listening, don't do that. Don't do that, or Michael Bublé, to be honest. But if you've got to do one, do Michael Bublé. That's what I always say. So I've been having a look at the plinth this week. Those of you who don't know, there's a plinth in the corner of Trafalgar Square. That's what it's called. That thing with Nelson in the middle of it. And someone gets to go on it for an hour, every hour, for the next, it's 2,400 people get to go on it.
It's 100 days, isn't it?
It's 100 days, yeah. And there was a war, wasn't there, called that? So they've nicked that idea.
The 100 Days War.
Yeah, they've nicked that completely.
It's quite a war theme. So, before the fourth plinth, it's quite a war theme in Trafalgar Square, isn't it? It's kind of
it's Nelson in the middle.
Yeah, and some other people.
Nelson in the middle, I know. Yeah. And then it's George the Fourth.
Who's one of
Oh, you know your
king?
statues, don't
Oh, I know.
you?
And then I don't know the other two, but I know they're both men from the colonisation of India.
They'll be war people.
Well, they're not. They're colonisation people.
Okay.
I mean, there's an element of oppressor about them, I suppose.
Yes. Are they statues that sort of communicate, maybe we did some things wrong?
Well, yeah, but they're obviously celebrating that. Anyway, on the fourth plinth, I go past there. I went past yesterday, and there was a woman throwing roses off there to people. And I've seen a man sang "Don't Worry, Be Happy." I saw.
So the idea is that people go up there and do whatever they want for how long is it?
It's an hour.
An hour.
Well, this is it. You see, I think it's people go on there and they find out how long an hour can be. That's what people do. And as anyone who's ever done stand-up comedy knows, an hour can be an eternity, an absolute eternity. So people get up with their idea, which might be throwing paper planes or something with loving messages on. But I thought it'd be interesting to ask our listeners, who I've now come to see as quite a bright, sharp, inventive lot, actually, which I like. I think we thinned out the early... Because we used to get in the first few weeks, where's White Snake? We used to get things. They actually managed to text in that tone. And now I think we've thinned it out.
They've gone now.
We've got down to the quintessence of what we want our listeners to be. They're, bright, sort of funny, interesting people. So I'd like to know what you'd like to see on the plinth. Not necessarily who, but what. What would you'd like to see for an hour?
And what would you do? I'd quite like to know. Can we ask them that?
And can I say there are legal... well, let's not ask them too many things.
Okay.
I was slightly exaggerating the bright thing. Yes, so there's legal restraints. I mean, on the actual plinth, you're told you can't do anything that you couldn't do, anywhere else in public, and you have to be on your own, so you can't do anything that's a 2 or 3 hander.
I don't think I've watched the live feed, which has become a bit like Big Brother in my life because it's just on telly all the time.
The live feed.
Isn't it?
I watched the Sea Lions a couple of weeks ago, and I might watch the Lions tonight.
They don't utilise their time enough, though.
What Lions? No, they're lazy. I mean, they have the meat. And what else
Fang,
they do?
the people on the plinth, you know what I'm talking about. And there was a woman, and she was going, "Thanks so much for coming, thank you." I thought, well, they haven't come to see you. They just happened to be in Trafalgar Square. But they just throw things at people.
No, it's one. It should have been. Andy Warhol got it right. Famous for 15 minutes. 15 minutes would have been good and have 4 times as many people. An hour is a very long time.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. Absolute Radio.
Now, some of you may have read in the newspapers that there was a bit of an incident at Deal or No Deal. And it just so happens that we have our Deal or No Deal correspondent with us.
Yeah.
Because Gareth... Oh, by the way, if you're going to text in, I forgot to say this is so unprofessional. 81215 is the text number, to say what you'd like to see most on the plinth. We've had one response so far that was just said me. I mean me, as in Frank, not as in... Oh, anyway. So, so Gareth does the warm-up for Deal or No Deal. So you were there when...
Yes, I was there.
So what happened exactly?
Live. Well, the guy got to the last couple of questions, the last decisions, Simon, and he got his wife down. Now they get their other half down to sit on the stool behind the chair to help them with it.
Yeah, to help them just guess at random what's in the box.
What's in the box. And it was all very stressful. And his wife, Angela, hunched over, as it was all happening, hunched over, and, Noel noticed something was wrong. Everything had to be stopped. And
just because she hunched over?
Well, she hunched over and was, kind of shaking. I think she fainted. She sort of fainted and had some sort of episode.
She had an episode?
She had an episode.
Oh, God, what off? Not Holby City.
Another programme, that's why they had to stop the show.
Okay, yeah. You couldn't have that suddenly showing in the middle of Deal or No Deal.
Can I just ask how much money was at stake?
It was quite a lot of money. It was a 5-figure sum. And it was quite
5-figure sum. I only ever read that in the paper.
I can't. This is from the paper. I can't remember what amount of money it was.
I was going to say no one would remember. I think it was a 5-figure sum.
Was it a cool million?
But it was quite a worrying moment. They had to bring a wheelchair on and just take her off because it seemed like she'd just collapsed.
Wheelchair?
She didn't just. To be honest, I mean the hunch was the warning.
Yes.
Yeah, she didn't just go over like an ironing board.
She folded and then...
So was she all right now?
She was absolutely fine.
Oh, that's me. Thank God. I mean, if she died, at least there's plenty of boxes about.
No. They're quite little boxes, so you'd have to... Yeah. If you're going to put a corpse in those boxes, you'd have to... cut it up into quite a few different pieces.
It's a sort of a reverse of the old sword the woman in art.
It's horrible for them.
Yes, you're right. That'd be terrible.
I dreamed of the day...
Next week, corpse or no.
I dreamed of the day when...
Corpse or money with
Noel opens a box and pulls her head out. No, it was a terrible moment, and basically what happens, they wheeled her off, everything stopped. Gareth, can you feel? I had to come on and follow her collapsing. Which is not an easy thing to follow.
Well, the trouble is, I mean, we can laugh about it now because we know she's all right. But it was for all you knew,
she was fine. But there's not a lot is funny.
Did you make any tasteless jokes about?
Well, I started off making. No, you can't
tell
make.
Us what they were.
No, I didn't make tasteless jokes. You can't make. No, it's quite a fragile audience. Deal or no deal.
Fragile,
so you have to take care of them.
What do you mean they're fragile?
No, I mean.
He's got the giggles now.
There's a big brittle bone crowd coming. That's oh well. I bet you handled it very professionally.
It was a nightmare. I started off doing jokes, but then I realised how inappropriate all my jokes are, and by the end we were playing I Spy and charades.
Do you know that sounds like the story of my career?
Absolute
Radio.
These two are being slightly squabbling, actually, Gareth and Emily, about who reads
He's
the
been really
text
annoying
messages.
me. It's no, because I'm sorry, Gareth, but you just went. You mean opening?
Look, don't make me come round there and knock your heads together on more, because they sit on the opposite side of the desk to me, I should say. It's a bit like a job interview. Me on my own on one side and those two on the other side. Those of you who consult the webcam. Why do you do that? That's good.
No.
It's good that you do that. We're asking for what you'd like to see on the plinth in the corner of Trafalgar Square, and it's on. If you want to text us on 81215, we'll discover that. I have to say, Gareth, I don't really feel that was the inside story on what happened on Deal or No Deal. It was basically what was in the papers. A woman fainted.
No,
what happened after?
She was fine, but just me floundering was what happened behind the scenes.
How did the husband get on? Did he carry on and play? He completed the game?
Yeah, it was amazing, actually, because he was down to the last couple of boxes, and he had the choice whether to swap or not, and then like it was opening the last box.
Right,
And
so
he did-
essentially it was an episode of Deal or
It
No
was
Deal.
an episode of Deal or No Deal.
Yes.
That was the amount of drama. It was amazing.
And what did he win?
And he won. He won 35 grand.
Oh, well, God, it's worth having the wife faint for that, isn't it?
I imagine he would have sold it for that.
Yeah. Actually, Noel could get in one of those boxes. He's quite a short man. They should
He's
start the
he-
show like that. He should
he-
come out on a spring.
He is an amazing
clown
man.
makeup.
He's an amazing man.
Well,
to
you're
see in
going to
the
say
flesh.
he's an amazing
No,
man
I'm
because
not.
you're the warm-up man. You want to keep that job, am I right?
No.
Yeah.
I'm sincerely in awe.
He's
of you.
cosmic. He's cosmic ordered you to say that.
Yeah. Do you have to warm Noel up as well? Are you like the teasers in the horse stud?
They don't let me near him.
Okay. That's just as well. Have we had any text messages?
Emily, would you like to read?
No, you
Oh,
do it.
don't start that.
No, I'm sorry, Frank. He can do it. He's made such a fuss about it.
Keith from Orpington. I want to see a person dressed as a giant pigeon on the plinth in Trafalgar Square.
That would be all right.
That's quite a
If
good one.
actually, what you could have is a person dressed as a giant pigeon with small Lord Nelsons sitting on them.
I think so
Do you know what
close
I mean?
to Parliament that would be a coup.
Yes. if a
dear.
Lord Nelson sat on the
Oh.
pigeon's head, though, that would be a
Yeah.
lovely...
Yeah, Lord Nelson, that's good. Use it as a golf tee with practice balls, not the heavy ones.
Someone said, I'd like to see
That's
someone on
all
the
right.
plinth holding a very small target and inviting people to throw large darts at them for an hour.
Didn't we make a rule we were going to read out people's names? Have we stopped doing
Yeah,
that?
can I tell you what the name is? From Clayton.
Yeah,
That's
well,
just a
that's
bit of a
somebody
weird name.
called Clayton.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a name?
Yeah,
Sounds
yeah.
like a place,
Clayton,
doesn't it?
Clayton Moore, who played the Lone Ranger.
Oh, there was Clayton in Dallas as well.
Well, there you go. See,
Okay.
now it's all falling into
Played by
place.
Howard Keel,
I like
sorry.
the idea of playing practice golf. And that darts thing, there used to be a French street performer who used to stand outside La Centre de Pompidou. And, yes, La Centre de Pompidou. He used to stand out, he had a big fat belly, and he used to invite you to throw darts in his belly. And he used to dip them in, like, disinfectant or whatever it was, and you could throw them really hard and they stuck in his belly. It was fantastic. It's the best act I've ever seen.
Frank.
True.
That's,
That's,
what do you mean, is it true? How dare you? I'm telling you, I saw it many times.
Can I
It
just
might
say
still
something?
Be there.
I'd like to make up with Gareth. I'm offering my little finger to him. That's what my mum
Yeah,
used
but
to make you do.
that looks like
Is
a
it?
provocation. Yeah,
Sorry, Gareth.
it's okay.
that's it. See,
Oh, you haven't
It's
said
fine.
sorry, though.
Well, did I do something wrong?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all right. People don't know here. You can do this off air, for God's sake. What do we think? Can I ask?
We
now?
won't be
'Cause
talking off air.
I'll tell you what split the nation is this kid who was out in the Australian bush. He's either a fabulous survival hero or he's a hoaxer. That seems to be the two views in the newspapers. What do you think?
I think that his father seemed to give up quite soon on finding him because he was there 12. He was missing 12 days, and his father had buried a rose and lit a candle and was on his way home. He was like, "Oh well, he's not." 12 days. I think there's still every chance he's going to come back from
Yeah,
the bush.
it is. There's not much staying power. It's almost like the dad was thinking, "Oh God, I want to go home now."
Yeah.
He did have his flight booked home, the dad, on the day the son was found, which I think is suspicious.
Yeah. Do you book a flight home?
When they said he'd built a shrine, I had an image of a sort of Taj Mahal type structure, not buried a rose. What kind of building a shrine?
buried a
is that?
rose. If I came back from being missing and my dad had buried a rose for me, I'd be like, "What? What, Dad? Why do
Yeah,
you think
exactly.
I want flowers buried?" What were you thinking about with that?
I bet the room was already half redecorated when he returned.
How much is he getting for his story then? 100,000? Is that what's making people suspicious?
Well, you know, it's the old Shannon Matthews thing, isn't it? Now that people make up. I wouldn't be surprised to find that Karen Matthews probably sent him out there. No, I probably can't say that. I don't know. Can you blacken the name of Karen Matthews? Wouldn't be easy. She certainly blackened the teeth. Oh, God. Well, the producer now is doing one of those cutthroat signs and pointing at the deck, so maybe I should play some music. Oh. If you're listening, Karen, don't.
Absolute
Radio.
Did you see Michael Jackson with his hair on fire?
Oh, yeah.
From the old Pepsi ad.
Yeah, the old clip.
Oh, man, I have to say, I mean, it was brilliant, because he was dancing, like, in a fantastic Michael Jackson way, with his head completely on fire.
Wow.
It was like a really brilliant kind of
And he didn't
modern-
seem to have any idea, did he?
No,
was
he had
just
no
carrying
idea.
on.
And it was, I mean, but he burnt to the scalp, almost to the skull. It got me thinking that if all my hair had burnt off, you know, it's a blank page. You get to choose then, 'cause you're going to have to wear wigs probably. you get to choose what your hair would be for the rest of your life. You get, and I think most people aren't happy with their hair. Am I right? I've always loved. I don't know if one could do this. I've always loved the afro.
Right.
And I've always thought, if I was a black person, I'd definitely have, like, a big afro, regardless. I just think there's something fantastic. Like those Michael Jackson, early Michael Jackson, where they've all got big afro.
Yeah.
Just looks brilliant.
So if all your hair was burnt off, you would have an afro?
Well, I don't think I could get away with an afro, because I think it would be seen as, I don't know, sort of... not
People
very-
might notice.
I see you in a sort of Annie wig, like a red curly hair.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well,
I'm thinking maybe Faye Tozer from Steps. You know, that slightly blonde... dreads type of look. I think I could carry that on.
That's good.
What was it? Sorry, Gareth?
I think I would. I mean, it's quite similar to the afro, but Bob Dylan hair. Bob Dylan when it's really big.
The old Bob
old
Dylan.
Bob
So the
Dylan.
Don't Look Back Bob Dylan. Yeah.
That's quite. I mean,
You look
that's
awful.
quite afro.
I'm not being rude, but I don't think that would suit you.
Well, stuff you.
Yeah, no, steady. Yeah, I do think you'd look like a small mouse looking out the bottom of a ball of wool.
That's quite. Or Damon from Blur. I've spent my whole life trying to get my hair to look like Damon from Blur's hair.
You've got the kind of general manner of Damien.
Damien.
Of Damien, the Omen. What would you go for, Em?
I might go for a sort of lap dancer's look, like a long blonde.
What, again?
No, we said if you were going to change your style. What would you have, Em?
Does any lap dancers listen? You cheeky. If there's any lap dancers listening, I don't understand why you can't put change in their briefs. Why it has to be notes all the time. The trouble is, I know there's some sagging, but you don't always have notes.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
You got chatted up this week, didn't you? Em?
I did. Don't make it sound so dramatic. It was a man in Tesco Metro,
I
Frank.
told you it would happen eventually. Just if you believe.
It's
if you
weird.
build it, he will come.
When someone chats you up in Tesco Metro, I think that's wrong, though.
Oh, I've heard tales that a lot of people meet people in supermarkets.
Oh, yeah, but I'm there to do my shopping. I'm not there to be chatted up.
Well, you say that.
And a man came up to me, and he was with a child who was about 11, which I thought was wrong. And at first he just said...
Well, in what way was it wrong? Can we just establish?
Well, I just
you shouldn't
don't-
be chatting people up if he's got 11-year-old child.
Well,
is that
no,
what you're
because she
saying?
was talking to him, and then suddenly he broke off to say... He looked at me and he went, "Them jeans is nice." And I said, "Oh." And at first I genuinely thought he was commenting
Was
on
he
my...
a pirate? Them jeans is nice, and no mistaking. Yeah,
Ahoy there!
And so...
they're a bit ahoy there.
Oh, God.
Them jeans is nice. It's hardly a chat-up line, is it?
Well, let me tell you the end. of
Okay,
it.
sorry.
He said, "Them jeans is nice." I said, "Oh, thank you very much." I said it like that.
I bet you did.
And he said, "Yeah, fit your rear well fine." And I said, "Oh." And I did a face
I'm
like...
getting a picture of this guy.
I did a face like Joan Sims, like a really disapproving face.
Yes.
I went, "Oh, really?"
You didn't say
I was
that.
really upset. I thought it was wrong because the child was looking all confused.
Fit your rear well
fine.
But they do. Are they those jeans that you've had? Are
That's
they
an anagram of a chat-up line that you then have to put into the right grammatical order, surely.
Are they those jeans you've got that were done by lasers though?
Yes.
Because you've got laser jeans. Emily's got laser jeans.
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, they were made to fit my body.
Oh.
You stand in this booth, and it takes all your measurements. I haven't taken the jeans off since he said that. I have to say.
Well,
Oh,
you must
I
get very
wondered what-
clammy in bed.
Well, they fit my real well fine.
Well, yeah.
They're sprayed on.
They're made with lasers.
Yeah,
Ooh. I bet that's expensive, isn't it?
of course it is.
Yeah. That's interesting. I've never thought of having any clothes made by lasers. Not since I used to go out with Jean-Michel Jarre. It's just a sort of suggestion he used to come up with on a regular basis. Yeah, I've never been... is it a chat-up line? I find it a bit too forward, to be honest.
What would you say? I mean, you're in a long-term relationship, as is Gareth. What if you had to chat someone up, a girl, like today? What would you say?
You mean if I was single?
Yeah,
Well,
if
what I
Kat-
used
if you
to-
hadn't met
the
Kat.
closest I've ever had to a chat-up line, and this is something I stumbled across accidentally, is I used to say, "You smell nice."
That's quite nice.
Yeah, and in Birmingham it was, you didn't often get the chance to say it
Do you give-
non-ironically.
Do you give her a sniff first? Do you go up, give her a sniff?
No, I didn't.
You smell nice.
I mean, it's an interesting one because to me it wasn't, because it could be a reference to their perfume.
Yes.
It might not be too personal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And you could just get away with it being just a compliment as
Yeah,
well.
and,
if they're
that's
not-
how
yeah.
it started, and then I realised people liked it. I must admit, I started using it more cynically. What would your chat-up line be?
Well,
Gareth?
the one that I've never used it, but I've made it in my head is I go up to the woman and I take her by the hand and I say, "Hello, I've just been to the toilet and I didn't wash my hands."
Right.
Do you think that would work?
No.
Well, not in the swine. I mean, this is the
No.
swine flu.
Not
thing,
in
isn't it?
Tesco Metro either.
I should
no.
say, in the studio today, I'm just going to reach across. So if my voice suddenly sounds like it's further away from the microphone, that's because it is. There's hand hygiene gel in all the studios now at Absolute. That's how bad the
I've already used it.
swines is.
It's not unpleasant. It's sort of Melanie, isn't it?
Is it, Melanie?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. It's amazing what they do with these corpses.
Oh, God.
So we're quite excited today because we've got Mr. Lightning Seeds coming
Wow.
in, Ian Broudie.
Ian
who
Broudie.
I have to say, I've never seen Gareth so excited. It's kind of second to Damon
This is
Albarn
big.
coming in.
Yeah,
isn't
this
it?
is big for me.
So we're quite excited about that, and we're going to celebrate by playing the Lightning Seeds' new single.
Absolute.
Radio.
I went and saw Placebo the other night. Ian Broudie is our guest in the studio today, and how do you feel about encores?
Actually, it's strange encores, isn't it? Because we were talking about this the other day because we were rehearsing a bit, and our drummer was saying that he finds that sometimes it's about if people decide to put lights on or put if you don't, you get and
Yeah.
sometimes it's the strangest things that make encores happen, and then sometimes you feel like is there a bit of a pantomime going off and coming on? You
Yeah,
feel
that's
a bit
what,
silly and,
because everyone knows it's going to happen. It isn't a spontaneous thing anymore, is it?
yeah, so I suppose if you get a second encore, it's an encore. I mean, and then you think, well, but then if you don't put the set, so it is a bit of it's a strange thing when you're trying to do a set list as well, and you think, you leave off a really good song because you're probably doing
Yeah.
So it's I've always thought I'd like to adopt a policy of not ever doing an encore and just do the show, but then everyone would think you were grumpy, wouldn't they?
Well, the Who did that once. They toured and said no encores, and I went and saw them at somewhere like the Empire Paul Wembley or something as it was in those days, and it felt like you'd been slightly snobbed.
Cheated, yeah.
But it is when I do a stand-up tour, I do an encore, but I've got the encore written and ready, and I always think, well, I'm doing it regardless of what the response.
You do it as people are walking out.
I have.
You
I've
know,
gone out. There's
necessary.
people with coats on. I can hear the slapping of seats going up, and I still go out and do it because I've written it. I'm going to do it. You know,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and I think some bands they hold their biggest hits back to the some to the second encore, which shows tremendous confidence. They're coming back. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. Well, when I went to see Blur recently, they did 2 encores, and the crowd was like too cool to say more. So the crowd was like, "They're coming back, but we're not going to say anything."
Did
Like,
they stamp?
Well, I was there screaming more like a psychopath,
Right.
But because I was like, "They might not come back. They might not come back." But everyone else knew they definitely were
Yeah.
going to.
Well, I think we can get from the horse's mouth here that pop stars know very well they're going to come back, don't they?
Well, it's I mean, I think if you've staved your best song, you're going to go back and do it,
Yeah,
whatever
regardless.
happens.
I'll
It's
play
like,
it to an empty auditorium.
But and then there's the thing of if you haven't got another song and everyone's clapping, it's a bit of a strange thing as well. And you put the lights on, But
Well, I've seen bands come out and do a song they've already done
Exactly.
in those situations,
No.
which is all right. You can't really do that if you're a comic. They don't like it.
It's not a few
Do you remember that funny bit from earlier in the set? Well,
Well, it worked before.
it went so well, yeah.
yeah. And also there was clap. The clapping thing. I've never been very happy when the audience are asked to clap.
How do you mean asked to clap?
You know when they say the bloke on stage starts going,
Clap
"Come
your
on,
hands."
everybody,
Oh, okay,
hands
yeah.
above their head," and you're supposed to join. And if you don't join in, you're seen as a bit of a wet blanket.
Right, so you think it's like the Mexican wave type
Yeah,
thing of
but do you do that? Do you get people to clap?
to clap? There's bits in a couple of the songs where there is clapping on the songs. I do a song called "A Song for No One," and there is two of the band clap, and I'm on the acoustic, which is an old gospel thing, isn't it? That people.
Oh, I think if the band
clapping.
clap. The point, I've come to be entertained by the band, not to be part of it. That's my view.
Well, I do like it if everyone joins in though and is part of the rhythm. That's pretty good, I think. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm not much of a one for hands above the head and kind of that one.
No. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad we've sorted those two things. I'd like to stamp them out. I'd also like to stamp out people holding up their video phone things throughout the whole thing. I'm a cigarette lighter man myself. I'm a traditionalist. If you're going to hold anything above your head, it's got to be a topless woman or a cigarette lighter. That's what gigs are all about.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. Absolute Radio.
That was The Fall, Wrong Place, Right Time, and that was actually produced by Ian Broudie, who's in the studio with us today.
It was.
That surely is the highlight of your career,
Yeah.
producing The Fall.
Well, it was a great show, Curious Orange. It was at the Edinburgh Fringe, or at the Edinburgh Festival, and it was with the dancers and giant hamburgers and everything.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was about, I think it was about William of Orange, but that wasn't
I don't
clear.
think anyone ever quite worked out what it was about.
No. But it was a great visual thing. And
It included Michael Clark, didn't it? The ballet dancer.
Yeah. I think it was his troupe.
Yeah.
Can I just ask, is that what brought you together professionally for Three Lions, your shared love of the Fall?
No, in fact, I didn't realise that Ian had produced Curious Orange, the album, for ages. I just, I don't know how I found out, actually. I think I saw your name on the album.
That's always a
You kept
giveaway,
it quiet. See, if I'd produced a Fall album, I wouldn't talk about anything else for the rest of my life. Was it fun? Because Mark can be tricky, can't he?
Mark's a real character, you know, and he does things in a way. I think that's what's so great about him, is he does things in a way that no one else does them, and he doesn't accept any kind of well-trodden path or something. He just does things very differently, you know, which is challenging, but at the same time good fun, you know.
We're talking about Mark E. Smith, in case you don't know, who's the lead singer with The Fall. It's more than the lead singer. I mean, he is The Fall.
Absolutely, yeah.
As he has often said, if it's me and your granny on bongos, it's The Fall. And, I mean, I've heard tales of him saying to the producer, record the whole thing onto a cassette player and then play it back, and that's the album.
So a lot of that goes on. Actually, there was a great moment when you finished mixing, and you mix a record, and then you take it for a process where they kind of master it, which is kind of getting it ready for the CD, and you have guys who specialise in that, and they're always quite strange guys. They're just in these darkened rooms, and no one's quite sure what they do. They do stuff to it, and then it's mastered, you know. And I remember going along with Mark, and Mark had a bit of a reputation for stuff like that, which to a master and engineer is sacrilegious, you know, to put it on a cassette and that. And I always remember this guy sitting there, and Mark mentioning the cassette thing and wondering if we could actually master off the cassette. And the guy didn't say anything, just got up, left the room, came back with a kitchen knife and just laid it on the desk, looked at him and carried on. And
did Mark take it well?
Mark said, "That guy's great."
Oh, I want to do a proper plug. The album is out now, the Lightning Seeds album.
It is Four Winds, yeah.
It's called Four Winds, and the single is out now, is it as well?
The single, I think, is out in a couple of weeks. I don't think it's out yet. But
Okay.
it's kind of on the radio, I think. Yeah, is it?
Okay.
Right, there we go.
And what's it called?
The single,
Yeah.
Don't Walk On By.
There you go. Don't Walk On By, and it's out. And
The 3rd of
and
August.
We just played it, and it's a bit. Gareth,
Yeah,
when it's out.
very
You
exciting.
Are
Can I have no interest in football at all, so I bought Three Lions because it was a Lightning Seed song.
Oh, great.
That is what
You are fired. That is the worst thing anyone's ever said on this show. And my goodness me, people have said some bad things. I'm snobbed by my own love child.
Absolute
Radio.
Robert Duke by Mum. Robert Duke. Yeah, Robert Duke, you know that. I'd love one of them, a Robert Duke. Say a Robert Duke of Edinburgh. You could keep in your window to ward off travellers. Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah, I quite like one of them. That's what I'm going to do. We often have sort of advertising on ideas on here, Ian. What did we have? We had the bottle opener in the shape of the male, the male symbol with the arrow with the
Yeah.
Yes. I sense you don't.
I'm not certain.
Oh, come on.
Is there a
Mr.
male symbol?
Music. There is a male symbol.
Okay.
Trust me, I'll email you it.
Okay.
Actually, I wouldn't know how to do that. I'll draw it now. Just, can you two talk?
Okay, Roger and Les have texted and they said they walked down the aisle to Pure, your song Pure.
Brilliant.
And
There it is.
Do you recognise
Frank
that?
is
Do you
another-
recognise it
yeah.
now?
Yeah, I've seen that
Ian,
before.
Yeah, that's
sort of
it. That's the
circle
male
with
symbol.
an arrow coming out of it.
That's brilliant. They walk down the aisle to...
Yeah,
no one
that's
ever
amazing.
phones in and say, I'll walk down the aisle to your joke about something or other. I mean, people
Yeah.
just don't. I
think
did have
that's
a man
lovely.
who texted in earlier and said he'd stopped drinking because of me.
I know.
Yeah.
He said you're an inspiration.
Yeah, I think it's just because I look so raddled. He thought, that's not what I want to look like when I get older. Yeah, that's great. I think everybody should stop drinking. Shall we do that? Shall we have that as a competition on the show?
I'm not joining in.
I don't know how we do it, actually. Sort of phone in, but no. Oh, God, I'm just saying absolutely anything now. So Ian, this is me now thinking of about 10 things I was going to ask you about. And one of them is... Now, I remember when you were absolutely mad about the Beach Boys. I used to go around your house and used to say, listen to this. And it would just be one track, not even a song, but just one vocal track going... "Ah, ah."
In the loveliest way.
Yeah. And he'd say, hey, what do you think of that? Brilliant. And, of course, I had to go, yeah, because I wanted to seem cool. But looking back, it was slightly frightening. But there's a song on the album which is called Ghosts, which I think has got a Beach Boys influence. Am I right about that?
I think probably everything I do has a bit of a Beach Boys and Beatlesy influence.
Well, you did
probably, 'cause they are
surfing.
my favourites.
You did surf
things.
into the studio. That made me wonder. I'm not sure about that wig though, that fringe wig and the collarless jacket. I think you're taking the whole Beatles thing too far. But they were four lads who rocked the world. Did they rock the world or shook the world? There's a statue
They
in
shook the
Liverpool.
world. They shook
That's it, they shook the
definitively say
world.
that.
Yeah. What fell off it, we'll never know.
Absolute.
Radio.
So I'm going to Latitude. I'm going after this. I'm getting in my car and I'm heading to Suffolk.
Brilliant.
That's the kind of character I am.
You're trying to sound cool in front of Ian, so he thinks
Yeah,
you're
well,
all rock
we
star.
don't get many pop stars here.
No, I know.
I should point. I'm actually doing. So I'm doing I'm in the literary tent. So I'm not going down there. Hey man, just to see.
I
that.
saw Ian re-evaluating you when you said that.
Yes, I hate it when he does that. There's that slight twitching around the mouth area. Yes, I'm not. The last I went to V, which is a festival. In case you don't know, and I stayed for about half an hour. I watched. I think it was Faithless. And there was all West Ham fans in shirts and tattoos, and it didn't seem like I associate festivals with peace and love, you know what I mean? And I went home. I went home after half an hour.
So you didn't like it much then?
No, not all
was
that
your
much.
one festival.
No, I've been to other, but that was one of my recent festivals when I thought maybe I'll never go to another festival.
Right.
But obviously I'm being paid to go to this one. That makes everything different. And I'm not camping.
Are you staying for a couple of days? Or
I'm in a sort of a hotel type thing.
What do you mean a sort of a hotel?
Well, I
Either it
think
is or it
it's-
isn't.
Well, you say that, but I think it's a house that's been converted into a hotel. In other words, they've bought some little soaps.
What, you're staying at someone's house?
It's been converted for the festival into
Isn't
a
that
hotel.
like a B&B? B&B.
Well, I think it's... I told Tom York he's staying at the same one.
wow.
So it must be all right.
Oh, that'll be
Temporary
have a
hotel.
drab time with him, won't you?
Why?
He is very sombre.
I like him.
I'm looking forward to seeing him at breakfast.
So you're staying in someone's house
surprises.
with Tom York? That's quite weird.
Yeah, I think Joe Brand's staying in the same house.
my
I think it's me, Tom York, and Joe Brand.
Is that a
I know
sitcom?
it should be. Reality TV show. Who gets voted out first?
They might be the two most miserable people in the country. Plus you, Tom
Yeah.
York and Joe Brand.
Plus me. Do you think it's a themed misery hotel? Seems a bit of a strange idea. Yeah, well, but you know, Grace Jones is on. I love Grace Jones, and I went to see her at the round. I'm doing all the talking. We've got a guest in the studio, but he said he's plugged his. What do you want, Ian? You've plugged your single. I mean, just stop staring at me and that it's my turn to speak. Go on, then say something.
What can I say
You
after
see?
that?
You see? What's the point? I said, why do we have guests? No. Do you like festivals? 'Cause doing it as a band, it must be quite. You get all nice facilities and things.
Not always, I have to say, no. I don't mind festivals. I don't think they're a great place to see bands, but I think they're probably a good place to go and get drunk and spend a weekend if it's sunny and have a bit of a laugh.
Festival's not a great place to see bands,
Why do you
says Ian
think
Broudie in Absolute Radio. Shocker.
So you're doing V Festival on the 22nd of August. Chelmsford also on the 23rd.
Well, that's just a personal view. I don't even like seeing bands in big stadiums. I always think theatres and clubs is the great place to see.
I
a
like
band.
lifts.
You know, yeah, you don't
I
see
like
many
getting
bands
into a
in
lift,
lifts.
and sometimes they're not playing, but I've bumped into bands in lifts, and I like seeing them close up like that. Sans makeup. Well, Ian, it's been great talking to you. The single is out in August the 3rd, and the album is out now, and you're going to be on the road soon. We can safely say Lightning Seeds are back, and that's fantastic news. Thank you all. Have a beautiful weekend, and if I don't get the swines at Latitude, I'll see you next week.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.